Dollar Tree sends an economic warning. Hey, everybody, you're watching Boom, Bear Bust. We're back with another dose. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We're going to talk about the current and worsening retail situation with the Dollar Tree, the latest warning sign to everyone that this economy is on ultra life support. We're going to get into the housing market, some other news here I needed to get caught up on today, the situation with the debt, and how consumers are absorbing, or I should say, how they're trying to handle this debt. Well, let's go ahead and get right into it, starting right here out of Bloomberg. Dollar Tree CEO quits and appoints an interim CEO, squeezed by weak spending, folks. People can't even spend money at the Dollar Tree. What kind of sign is that, right? And I've also got a personal story to share here. I didn't listen to my own advice. Remember, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, I said I'm no longer going to hold any brick and mortar retail stocks. Well, I messed up and I held on to the Dollar Tree. You're going to see how much the stock went down. Luckily, I don't have that many shares, but I thought, okay, it's a low price store. Even with economic weakness, consumer weak, they'll still do okay because they have low cost items, right? And a lot of the 99-cent stores that went out of business, the Dollar Tree is moving into those locations. Now, I think they overextended themselves because now we have Dollar Trees here every couple miles here in San Diego. I'm not sure what it's like in your neck of the woods. Here in San Diego, we have way too many Dollar Trees. There's towns that have cities here that have 2 to 3 Dollar Trees in one city, which is ridiculous, in my opinion. And it shows here. But Dollar Tree stock is down big time, over 50% year over year. Now, I do still hold several retail stocks. Now, mostly ones that serve food. I still have Chipotle, still have Starbucks and others, because it's kind of hard to go smash and grab a coffee, right? Most people aren't breaking into Starbucks, smashing and grabbing and leaving like they are some of these retailers. But Walgreens closing all New York City stores. We're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. Why? Because the cost of living, more people getting desperate, getting harder and harder to get by. But let's take a look at Dollar Tree stock and kind of show you where I messed up here. Dollar Tree stock here, this is a 1-year stock. Look at this, folks. Down over 41% year over year. Now, we did see a recent jump here Monday, November 4th, but folks, this has been a painful stock. Look at this. I should have listened to my own advice not to hold these type of retail stocks. We see if we look at the peak, $172, folks, July 2022, we're down to $66.81 a share, folks. One of the worst performing stocks that I hold right now. Other than that, though, I'm doing pretty good. Getting out of retail overall was a wise decision. But again, I didn't listen to my own advice. And I don't give advice, but I didn't listen to my own common sense in this case. But I'm going to continue to hold it, and we'll see if it jumps back up. You would think, though, with the state of the U.S. consumer, Dollar Tree would be booming. My problem with Dollar Tree is it's, for the most part, the same at every store. At least with the 99-cent store, when they were around, I could go to a different one and they'd have some different things, some different stuff, some different overstock items, but not the Dollar Tree. It seems to be a lot of the same stuff as far as I can see. In more U.S. debt economic news, folks, look at this. Approaching $36 trillion. The debt's to a point now where people don't even care, right? I remember when the debt hit 10 trillion, people were like, oh my goodness, this is unsustainable. How can we afford this? Well, we can afford it because we can continually borrow more money to pay off the debt. Well, not pay off the debt, to pay off the interest on the debt. But that's not even enough anymore, folks. Even the interest on the debt, pretty soon we're not going to be able to pay that off. In other words, the tax receipts or tax income from the government soon will not be even enough to cover the interest on this debt. Again, approaching 36 trillion. If you look at unfunded liabilities, it's over $100 trillion. If you look at global debt, it's between, the last time I looked, $300 and $400 trillion. All countries in debt to this fiat money slash fake money system. Where does it end, folks? They tell us debts and deficits don't matter. Well, Apparently, they can just keep owning it into endless debt, but they can't find money to fund certain things. Isn't that interesting how that works here? Now, a recent word of caution from FDIC Chair Sheila Bair, former chair of FDIC. She said in a recent interview, she's saying basically debt could lead to the next crisis. And I know what you're thinking. Of course it could, but will it? So folks, if the FDIC, former FDIC chair in this case, doesn't know, then who knows, right? Nobody knows. Nobody knows exactly when the next crisis will hit. If the banks are going to implode, they could keep these banks propped up to infinity, and then you're going to see hyperinflation, just like all the other countries where their currency was devalued and destroyed. Or this thing could implode at any moment. Be prepared for both scenarios because no one can tell how this is going to play out. And why is that? Because it's an engineered economy. No one can predict what's going on behind the scenes or can tell what's happening behind the scenes right now. They could have plans to keep this whole banking structure propped up to infinity, and the ones running this economy, the people I call the economic engineers, the decision makers, they can decide to keep these banks propped up forever. If some new regulation comes in where the banks actually have to have funds in order to loan out the funds, in other words, they have to put a limit on the amount of debt that can be just issued out of thin air, also known as a gold standard, then look out, folks. This whole thing is going to come crashing down. I don't see a gold standard being implemented, but I do see precious metals values really going higher. There's talks about the BRICS nations bringing in this gold-backed dollar, if you will, or what they're going to call a unit. I don't trust it. I think it's a disguise, and I think it's a front to bring in the world digital currency, to push everyone into digital. In other words, I don't trust it. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see how it plays out, folks. Bottom line, be ready for anything. And again, if the FDIC chair here, Sheila Bair, if she doesn't know, then who does know, right? The cost of living is so hard to deal with here in the U.S. for so many people. They're even talking about it here in The Guardian. Look at this headline. No social life, no plans, no savings. Americans aren't reaping the benefits of a booming U.S. economy. That's because the economy is booming for the elite, the top 10, 20, maybe even 30%. But as you know, all of you know probably by now, 70% of people living paycheck to paycheck, even some six-figure earners living paycheck to paycheck. While some were optimistic about stabilizing costs, others told The Guardian that high prices continue to squeeze finances. Right, what do we talk about here the whole time? Stabilizing costs are not anything that's going to help people. That means prices are too high, and they're staying too high because they're stable. We need what? I'll give you a few seconds to think of this word. It starts with a D. We need deflation. Deflation, but no one wants to let that happen. No one wants to allow that. No quote-unquote leader, no economic engineer that runs this thing wants deflation to happen because that breaks the illusion of economic growth. Remember, economic growth depends on people taking more and more and more debt. As soon as the debt stops increasing, then the economic growth illusion crumbles, and this whole sandcastle comes crumbling down. So, of course, high prices continue to squeeze finances because prices aren't coming down. They're just going up. A couple areas, you might see some prices coming down. Automobiles, gas down from the peak, but still way above where we were just a few years ago. So, no, not much relief. And anyone that looks at these polls and can't connect the dots here. Anyways, breakfast prices up 72%. Taco Bell, 54% the McDonald's since 2019, folks. That's 5 years. So let's take the 72% number over 5 years. That's up over, 10%? Is that closer to 15% a year on average? 54% the McDonald's, 5 years. That's up over, 10% every year on average? So we're supposed to believe that inflation, again, is between 2 and 3% currently, but yet it's closer to 10 to 15% if you just look at some of these fast food prices. Not everybody eats fast food, but a lot of people do. A lot of people rely on fast food because they're so busy running between multiple jobs. They have to go in and get a quick bite at the drive-thru. but they're paying a very, very high price for fast food right now. More retail pain, folks. Walgreens. Thank goodness I'm not in this stock here. Closing all of their New York City stores. Now, some of this could be stock positive because if you had a lot of loss at your stores because of theft, it may be good that they're actually closing down certain locations, especially more vulnerable locations in bigger cities like New York. Walgreens closing all of the New York City stores because of theft. That's per Cash Jordan right here on YouTube. Would Walgreens have been a smart play? No, it would not have. And I'm glad I'm not in this, folks. Look at this. Earlier this year, or actually peaked closer to late last year if you look at the 1 year chart here. $26 back then, folks, were down to $9, down 57% year over year. Be careful with retail. I think there's still more downside. That's the scary part, because is anything being done to fix the theft problem? No. The cost of living is going higher. More people living paycheck to paycheck. Number continues to increase. So in other words, I'm being cautious, and this is why. Now you know why Buffett's out there with the big cash position. I believe the record cash position for him. It's a matter of time before it breaks. The economic engineers got what they wanted. They kept this thing propped up for November 5th, which is right around the corner. It's tomorrow. You might be watching this on November 5th. I'm actually not even voting. I don't participate in this. I don't like either side. And I, of course, am biased towards the economic situation. And I don't see much solution coming from either side. So, call me a spoil sport, but I'm not participating. Cost of food likely to get higher when it comes to chicken. Look at this. 1.3 million chickens killed after poultry producer files bankruptcy. You mean to tell me they couldn't find another farm to take these chickens to? Even if they just gave them away, they had to kill the chickens because of bankruptcy? Absolutely insane, folks. And people are wondering why the cost of food is not coming down more. It's stuff like this. And we know that millions and millions of them have been killed off because of viruses and things like that. It's pretty sad, folks. Home buyers lose $33,000 in purchasing power in 6 weeks as mortgage rates hit 7%. And folks, that is a big decline in purchasing power. Will we see home prices come down? People are shocked at how this housing bubble has been pumped up and remain inflated. But prices are coming down overall. If you just look at the Case-Shiller Index or the Realtor.com or the Redfin or the Trulia prices, Zillow, etc., they're going to show you just select areas, and they still show prices up. But if you look at across the country, the nation as a whole, including out of these suburb areas, not just the downtown city areas like Case-Shiller would focus on, but overall, prices are down. And unless we see a big drop in mortgage rates, I see continued weakness in the housing market. A crash? I don't think so, unless something drastic comes in and Black Swan or something big comes in and changes this. But again, I don't see either candidate coming in and shaking things up that much. We need a shakeup. That would be nice, but I just don't see that happening. Maybe you do. Please let me know down in the comments. Maybe I'm wrong about this whole political side of things, where we see maybe some big changes coming up depending on your candidate. Nearly $1 billion spent on political ads over the past week. We have $1 billion to run commercials, but we have all these people, no place to live. We can't even make tiny homes for the homeless population, right? Some people say the tiny home thing wouldn't even work because the homeless people are so out of their minds for the most part. Well, at least give them a chance. Give these people tiny homes. If they start fires and they're doing bad stuff, then don't give them access to the tiny homes. In other words, give them a reward for getting clean and not burning down the village. In other words, that would be my pitch if I was a politician, if I was an economic engineer and had the power of the purse. What's it called? The power of the purse, right? Congress. If I had that type of power to decide where this money goes, I would at least give that a try. Tiny home villages for the homeless people. And then how much better would it be for the retail stores not having to deal with all these homeless people running around? If these people had a place to live, maybe I'm just wishful thinking. Maybe it wouldn't help. Maybe it'd be a big waste of money. But I'd say, hey, at least give it a try. There are some countries out there that actually tried the tiny home thing, and it was a good incentive for people to stay clean. Maybe even test these people for substances before they're allowed to live in the homes, or to continue to live in the home. You'd have to test maybe once a month, right? It'd be a lot cheaper than some of the other options I've seen out there. All right, people, what do you think about all this? The Dollar Tree CEO resigning. Stock has really plummeted. Walgreens stock plummeted. More retail pain. Where do you invest? Are you investing, or are you like me with very small positions right now in the market, still in a lot of cash? Not that I've got a lot of cash, but compared to how many stocks I have, I'm in a lot of cash. I hope you guys are doing well. It's election tomorrow. What do you think about all this, folks? I'll be glad to get this behind us, but I'm afraid that this is going to drag on for weeks, maybe even months, with the left versus right. Remember, they need a lot of distractions. They need you fighting against each other to keep you distracted from how really sad this whole economic situation is, right? What do you think about this? Do you agree with me? Am I wrong? Let me know down in the comments. I'll be reading them. Everybody keep stacking. Bye for now. Peace.